One of the things that you'll have to purchase a lot of if you work in hardcover is Bookboard. And one place to get Bookboard cheap is from the giveaway bins at your local thrift stores. Sometimes they give them away at your local library. There's a lot of things that aren't classics of literature that wind up in the freebie bins, like this one, How to Sing for Money from the 1930s, and this one, The Conquest of the Microchip, which is probably about 25 years out of date at this point. These books were most likely headed to the recycling bin anyway, so I don't feel too bad about cutting them up, recycling the book boards into future projects, and then of course I will recycle the rest. In this video I'm going to show you how I cut one apart and what I salvage from each book, the book boards and the headbands and tailbands where possible. So let's head to the work table. You don't really need a whole lot of tools for this project. I just use an X-Acto knife and my fingernails, and that pretty much will be all I need to take this book apart. So let's get to the work table here and take a look. Now my goal with this book is to save the book boards on the front and the back, and then if it's worth it, the headbands on the ends here, I'll reclaim them. The rest of this will get thrown away. So we just start, grab the old X-Acto knife, we're going to come inside here and just cut right along this seam on the edge papers. And start peeling the book back. Now there's going to be several things right up on this joint as we cut it apart, and you'll start to see them because there's no cardboard, there's no book board in the spine. It's only on the front and the back covers. So when we cut into this, there's going to be a couple of layers of paper and some backing materials that help to strengthen the spine. And once we get that broken free, you can see right here on the spine there's a kind of a backing paper. So if we look in close, we can see this fiber material. It's called a super, and then just this piece of liner paper that's on the back, because they'll put the super on, that will wrap all the way around the end paper and then over onto the interior of the front cover, and then they'll put this piece of liner paper over the top of that, and then that liner paper will glue to the inside of the cover, which it will have its own cardboard liner paper down the center between the two pieces of bookboard. So I'm going to flip it over, do the opposite side, same thing. Just cut down in here with the X-Acto and just start peeling it back. And the hardest part of this cutting is getting through that super, because that's a pretty tough material. It's not a natural fiber. If you do any home improvement, it's kind of like some of the joint tape that they use in drywall. So here is the headband from this book, or actually this is the tailband. There's not much to it. It's just a folded over piece of cloth with a little bit of a piece of piping in there. So this isn't much to save, but it's usable, so I'll put it in the save stack. And I go to the opposite end and peel the headband off the top. So they got the headband on the top, the tailband on the bottom. And you can see that just creates a little finish on the edge here. And if you just peel it on, in these books, it's just glued on. Traditionally, this was sewn into the signatures, but on most contemporary books, it's just glued on. So we'll save that. And here you can see a little more detail. You can see how the glue has gone in between the individual signatures here, and then you can see where that super has stopped. It doesn't go all the way to the ends. It stops basically about the thickness of the headband from the end. And the liner paper covers over all of it and holds it all together. And then this piece, this book block, is disposable. So we'll put this into the recycling bin and recycle that. Tear off that liner paper. And keep that headband. And then at this point, we need to cut away the hinge between the front and the back of the spine. Because that's just cardboard. And I'll clean this up a little bit before I use it, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it right now because I may end up trimming the ends of this off completely before I use it. I don't know if I'll use this at its actual size. Another thing I do sometimes is peel back the liner paper on the inside. You may or may not want to do that. It's going to tear up the book block a little bit, or the bookboard a little bit when you do this, because there's no way to get it off without tearing the paper a little bit. That goes in the recycling bin. Still have plenty of board there. I still have plenty of surface to work with. I'm not going to try and take the front cover off because that usually tears up pretty badly. In this case, you can see there was a piece that wrapped over the spine edge, and it overlapped with the paper on the front. So there's going to be a little bit of a bulge when I reuse this bookboard. I might actually flip it over because it might be a less noticeable bulge here. You could probably peel this back around the edges and then cut it, and then leave that for the inside where you won't really notice it. But there's one bookboard to use. And so there's what I've salvaged from this book. I've got this one needs a little more cleanup. This one that's pretty much ready to go, just need to trim it out to its final size. And then 2 headbands, which I may or may not use, just simple ones. I would have for sure kept them if they were a little bit thicker, but there's not much piping on the end of these, so they're kind of plain. They don't do a whole lot decoratively, but I'll keep them just the same. So I spent a few minutes rummaging through some discount bins, about a half an hour at the work table, and I have a handful of really high quality bookboards to use on my next hardcover project, and also some headbands and tailbands to work with as well. So I hope this has given you some good ideas on how to use reclaimed bookbinding products on your next project. If you enjoyed the video, please like it, share it with a friend, and of course subscribe to our channel. Until next time, I'm Andrew Seltz for DIYbookbinding.com. Have a great day.